All right, I'll ask a question, then you can answer, okay?
Sure.
Excuse me, I noticed your sign says Bush and Cheney were involved in 9/11. Can you tell me exactly what you mean?
Well, it means that either they were directly planning it or they let it happen. If you look at the way they treated the Saudis, if you look at the evidence of the collapse of the building,
Yeah.
if you look at building number 7, if you look at the size of the hole of the Pentagon, any way that you look at the evidence, it doesn't make sense unless it was government helped.
Indeed. And the NORAD stand down, and all the foot options, all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
the evidence
Mountains
is
of freaking evidence.
overwhelming that you have to have red, white, and blue blinders on not to see it.
Absolutely,
Our
man.
war in Iraq doesn't make any sense. Attacking Iran doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Unless you figure it's part of a perpetual war in order to loot our treasury and to do this
Indeed.
little world control trip that
I
they're
cite the
on.
similarities between the Reichstag fire and 9/11. Like, if you ever read the book Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, you'll see a bunch of parallels
Absolutely.
between the pacification of America and what's going on.
Bush's family, Prescott Bush, had a bank closed for dealing with the enemy.
Oh yeah, Brown Brothers and Averill Harriman. Yeah, absolutely.
A big part of their Bush
We are
fortune.
changed, brother. So, remember me from the Bush thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's up? Hey, I got a video camera in my hand, but yeah. Thanks, man, for explaining your sign. That's just lovely. And one question I'd like to ask an older gentleman: where the fuck is the Abby Hoffman of my generation? You know? Or on meds or sitting in front of his freaking Nintendo. You guys have a wonderful day.
Our other top story tonight, the race for president comes to Portland. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, one of the top contenders for the Republican nomination, made a quick stop in the Rose City today, and K2's Joe English is there. Turns out this visit caught a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, I think it really is safe to say that most people who saw him today had no idea he was coming. Giuliani was in town for a private fundraiser, then he stopped for a cinnamon roll at Rose's Deli, where he also got an earful from protesters.
Before Rudy Giuliani even showed up, the crowd outside Rose's Deli was drawing a crowd of its own. Rose's lunch crowd got a side order of push and shove with their sandwich, but didn't seem to mind.
No, I really like it, and like to see somebody that important close up and shake hands.
Not everyone was glad to see Giuliani, but they wanted him to see them and hear that he can't win an election simply because he was mayor of New York on 9/11.
9/11 was a bad job. In the campaign, he needs to campaign on an honest platform, not on the deaths of 3,000 people.
Protesters signing autographs, shaking hands, posing for snapshots. Giuliani sat down with the top guys at Rose's and Congressman Greg Walden.
10:30, I tried to leave the building, but as soon as I got outside, I heard a second explosion and another rumble and more smoke and more dust. I ran inside the buildings, the chandelier shook, and again, black smoke filled the air. Within another 5 minutes, we were covered again with more silt and more dust. And then a fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a third explosion, this building might not last.
As we were getting our gear on and making our way to the stairway, there was a heavy-duty explosion.
Some of the people out, then there was those secondary explosions, and then the subsequent collapses. So I don't know how many people were there. I know there was a lot of firefighters.
New York's bravest never had a chance.
We really never even got to that close to the building. An explosion blew and it knocked everybody over.
The FBI is here, as you can see. They had roped this area off. They were taking photographs and securing this area just prior to that huge explosion that we all heard and felt.
Most of the victims so far were people outside the blown-up buildings.
Like, it sounded like gunfire, you know, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden, 3 big explosions.
To me, it sounded like an explosion. Then the building, the rolling sound sounded like the building collapsed.
Top floors collapsed down. I saw it blow and then ran like hell. Thank God. I'm 69, but I can still run.
Next thing we know, it was boom, boom, and the floor started shaking. And then we saw debris fall down, and next thing we know, we had to get out of the building. We stuck on the stairs for a while. We finally got down to the lobby. Then we get to the lobby, there's this big explosion.
Well, me and Mr. Hesh, Corporation Counsel, were on the 23rd floor. I told him we got to get out of here. We started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Flew us back into the 8th floor.
I was making my way to the foot of the World Trade Center. Suddenly, while talking to an officer who was questioning me about my press credentials, we heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse.
Rose Harsey, one of our CNN producers, is on the phone. Rose, what do you got?
I'm about a block away, and there were several people that were hanging out the windows right below where the plane crashed, when suddenly you saw the top of the building start to shake, and people began leaping from the windows in the north side of the building. You saw 2 people at first plummet, and then a third one, and then the entire top of the building just blew up, and splinters of debris are falling on the street.
We just saw that as well. The second tower, the only one that was standing, tower number 1, we saw some kind of explosion, a lot of smoke come out at the top of the tower, and then it collapsed down onto the street.
The streets of the financial district covered with debris, in some cases ankle deep. Cars on fire, cars just turned by the force of the explosions. It was like something no one had ever seen.
This huge, incredible force of wind and debris actually came up the stairs, knocked my helmet off, knocked me to the ground.
At 8:30, he says he was headed to level B4 in Tower 1, 4 stories below ground.
I go downstairs, the foreman tells me to go to remove the containers. As I'm walking by the main freight car of the building, in the corridor, that's when I got blown. I mean, the impact of the explosion, of whatever happened, it threw me to the floor, and that's when everything started happening. I know of people that got killed in the basement. I know of people that got broken legs in the basement. People that got reconstructive surgery because the walls hit them in the face. And I know I love seeing everybody every day that survived it and was there.
What happened was I was down in the basement. All of a sudden we heard a loud bang, and the elevator doors blew open. Some guy was burned.
We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running, floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was if they had detonated.
Detonated.
They were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running. Just ran up West Street. And then you just sort of this cloud of shit chasing you down.
Could not run it.
West Street. I could not run it.
So what'd you do?
I jumped behind a battalion car. I hid under the car. I was just waiting to die.